Hey everyone, Will is on his way in. We'll just wait for a few more people to roll through and then we'll get started.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, let me get my screen share up. Sabs, we got our questions. Ooh, I probably am joining late, so I don't get the benefits of the chat. If we could repost our pre-submitted questions, please.
Sure.
And apologies, everyone, for being late here today. If we could also include the name of the person, that'd be really helpful, so I know they're in the list or not. As always, you guys can ask your questions in chat QA or just use the raise hand function, and we will call on you. Okay, Jeremy, you have questions about vulnerabilities. What, you have a specific question about vulnerabilities?
Yes. Hi, Will. Good evening. Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, so I actually have some questions regarding the vulnerabilities because one of our system, which is running under Decisions version 8, they ran actually a pen test and they
Okay,
found some vulnerabilities. So they actually sent us some of their findings
okay,
and we may need to resolve it.
sure.
So yeah, so the first one that they actually saw when they ran the pen test is actually the session URL token. It is available or they can see it in the URL.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were actually wanting us to hide it if there is a way for us to
Okay.
hide it. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
how can this
this one's
can.
tough. This one's given like the
Mhm.
possible ways that this conversation could go. What
Mhm.
normally happens is you just send those results into us on a support ticket, and
Mhm. Ah
then
yes, yes.
we'll review that, and then we'll
Ah.
reply back. Some could be code changes required. Oftentimes we have a document on the doc site called like securing your decisions installation, and this
Mm-hmm.
shows you how to do things like, set secure cookies, and or hide exception messages, or obfuscate session IDs in the log files and things. And so this is
Yes.
normally the place where we start when security teams do vulnerability scans. So here, if you look for like securing your decisions installation,
Uh-huh.
this doc has a lot of good information about how to secure the install so that these security scans return green. Looks like it's going to take a second to load there, but that's where I would start. But possibly that team has hit on something new, and so if you could submit that into support, we can look at that with the product team and figure out and provide specific recommendations, or
Mm-hmm.
if we need to get a code change, escalate that to the product team to get a fix
Uh,
in for.
yeah, sure. We actually already raised a ticket with support team and we're just waiting for some replies actually. So I'm hoping that I was able to get faster reply when I attended this lunch and learn.
What's the specific property that they're asking to hide?
The session token. Okay. I'm not sure whether the findings that they have is the session token in URL is visible because they actually run. We also able to replicate it actually. So we just actually access one page inside the sessions and then we run the developer in the developer tool, and then we saw that there's actually a session token in one of the page in decisions. So they wanted to hide that session ID. I'm
I'm
not sure
not
if
sure that that's even doable. Like, like, yeah, I'm not sure we can support that. But yeah, I don't. That's a tough one for me, Jeremy. Like, it's
yeah.
yeah, given like the complexities of like security stuff, I don't know. What? Yeah, that's a tough one for me to answer on Lunch and Learns, unfortunately. But
Sure, sure.
yeah, I think let me. When did you submit that ticket? Did you submit it just recently?
It was actually last February.
It was last February? Oh, it was in
Yes,
February? Okay,
in
what's the ticket
February.
number?
Yeah.
Let me follow up
Okay.
on that for you and see
Sure.
if I can get some
So
movement on that for you.
let me just log in and give me a while.
Yeah, Vitaly, I agree. I don't think you can hide tokens. I think it's pretty, I don't know. Sometimes some of these security teams get a little overzealous um, in what they want to hide. Um, we recently had someone who wanted to hide session IDs from log files because they thought that
Yes.
that was insecure. That just
Yeah,
happened
we
just
we
very
we
recently.
actually we actually saw that one that there's an option for us to hide the session ID in the log files.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's not the one. That's not the one that they were actually asking. So we've tried disabling it also, and then they run again the pen test.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So let me ask you, if you could just shoot me an email, will@decisions.com with that ticket number, and I will
oh
follow up
sure,
and make sure that we get some movement on that for you.
sure, will do, will do. I will send it in a bit later.
Okay.
So there's another one vulnerability. This one is actually regarding into the cipher because they say that the current ciphers that we are having in the versions that we have is actually outdated already.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Do
is
do
there
we
a
host
way?
for you? Do we host that server?
No,
Okay.
it's an on-prem, yeah,
Okay. And
on-prem server.
so that's an operating system concern. Like the cipher,
Oh,
we don't have our own ciphers. We just read the
okay.
ciphers from the operating system. So that Windows server needs to have
Mhm.
those ciphers removed,
Oh, okay.
and then
So
confirm that
if
the application still functions with them removed.
okay, so it's not related to the decisions.
Correct. Yeah, that we get
Okay.
we use whatever ciphers are. That's more of a host operating system issue.
Okay, got it. So, and last and definitely not the least is the version of the jQuery as well as the DOM Purify version.
Hmm.
Is there any impact if we upgraded it into the latest version? Because
Uh,
currently, yeah, it is said that when they run the pen test, the DOM Purify version that is tied to decisions is version 2.2.0.7,
hmm.
and the jQuery UI version is 1.13.0, which is according to the pen tester is outdated already. So they were actually asking us to update it
I
into the
see.
latest version.
You
So yeah.
can't update it yourself. What version of decisions is this on?
It's 8.1.4 currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we've upgraded jQuery recently. Here's a
Mm-hmm.
place where I need some support help to identify. But you cannot upgrade jQuery independently of the application. Like you have to we have to release a version of the platform with that
Oh,
and with that newer version of jQuery.
okay. So if 8.4 is using the old version, so for us to be able to upgrade jQuery, we need to update decisions
You
version as
have
well.
to. You'd have to.
Oh, okay.
There's no choice to upgrade jQuery independently of the platform.
Okay, got it, got it. So I understand. Yeah. So far, those are the three, yeah, high vulnerabilities that the pen tester raised to us. So later
Okay.
on, I will shoot you an email. Yep.
Yep.
Thanks, Will.
You bet. Happy to help.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all for me.
Okay, thanks. All right, and we have I'm in here, which is how to use SQL and Flow to conduct searches against a local or external database. Some specific questions about SQL coding and Flow Designer are outside of it, but linking the query code to it.
Hi, I'll be more specific. Maybe the posted question is a little bit too generic.
Okay.
So I'll be more specific to make it easier.
Sure, what you got?
I'm designing a flow to
Okay.
search a simple data structure for some information. The flow will take inputs like first name, last name, date of birth, postal code, and then we'll search the data structure for this information. And if it exists, it should return these records. Now, it's only one simple data structure. It's not actually a big database, but the point is some of the members in this data structure are of type composite data type. So they are in themselves not other data structures.
Okay.
So for
sure.
example, there is the address. The address is a member of the individual data structure, and then the address has other members. It has the postal code, it has country, city, street address.
Right.
So I'm unable to use the fetch entities step in
Sure.
that case, because
Great.
I'm unable to access the members of the composite data type. So
Got
I tried to use an SQL query. For some
Okay.
reason, it's not returning data that I know is there, but also putting into consideration that this is my first time to write the SQL code in a Flow Designer. So I'm good with SQL, but I never did it in a flow, in a decisions flow before.
Gotcha.
So
Here's where I would start. Yeah, here's where I would
Yeah.
start. We have a query editor. If you go to other query editor on a designer folder, this is where you can start writing your query, right? And this is just normal queries that you can write. So select star from like entity account. And you can run these. And then you might put like parameters where email address equals, admin@decisions.com. So start here, write your query, get this to return based on, you can join, you can union, you can do all the query things that you can do.
Yeah.
When you get,
I'm sorry, how did you access this? How did you open it?
On a designer folder, right click, and you're gonna go to other query editor.
Okay, and then I can, this is good for testing, right? So I can
Correct.
try
And this,
my code.
yeah, right. And you have some shortcuts here. If you find a table, you can like, it'll give you the columns in that table, or there's actions here to like insert table name or generate a select and those sorts of shortcuts here. So start here.
Yeah.
Start here to get your table, get your query written. Once you have it, then you can come create data types, database integration, add query. And this is how you're going to build your step. So you'd create this, and then what you would do is create a parameter like this, and then you name this thing, fetch account by email.
Okay.
And then you'd go ahead and run it. And now if you want it to give results, you can edit this here. I can put an actual value in here. And I can run it again. I should get a single result. I can review the results here. And then what'll happen is I'll click OK. I'll create this. I know I'm moving fast here for you. But we record these and post them after. And then in a flow, what you do is under integration, database, local connection, because I didn't use a custom connection here. The only difference between this, an external and a local connection, is the connection folder. And you'll see here, I have a now run query, fetch account by email. If I look at this, I have a limit count, which I can ignore. And then I have an input for email address.
Yeah, and then I can select the flow input here.
Right, exactly. And then if I run this, maybe I'll just hard code admin@decisions.com. And then I should get my result out. And then if I look at this, I should see my output data, and there's my single item, that administrator account that I returned from my query.
Yeah. That's really great. That's really nice. So can you go back to the flow Execute. Okay. Okay, good. So I have another question now. In the SQL code, when I'm trying to access a member of a composite data type, do I type in the name dot member name?
You just if you it's just normal SQL, so you can like in the database query here, I could say I could put in email address, right, or created by. These are just properties I know are on an account, and I can run that, and then it's going to put those in the front like it would in the SQL statement. So I can specify or do star here, whatever I want. It's just
Yeah,
normal. We're going to read this normal SQL in.
right, but the concept of a composite data type could be a little bit different if you're writing SQL code in another platform or another environment. But here in decisions, we have a member which is a composite, like its data type is composite, so there are
Okay.
more members within it. And I want
Okay.
to not reach a specific member in it. In our case, the postal code in the address. So do I write here, for example, just a pseudocode, select address dot postal code?
No, this assumes that it's flat. This is that you're not accessing, like, is address a separate table? Because
No,
like in
yeah, right. So address is a separate simple data structure,
I see.
but it's included as a member, as a data type in the individual data structure.
I see. And these data types were created in decisions.
Yeah, they are
Okay.
all in decisions.
Then what you have, you just need to understand the relationship between them. This is one-to-one.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to create a type called parent type, and this is going to have a single field called str1. I'm going to build a couple data types here really quickly, and I'm going to create a data type. Again, this will be called child type, and it will also have a single property called str1. Then what I'm going to do is put child type in parent type.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going to edit.
Exactly the case.
I'm going to edit parent type. I'm going to say child data, and then I'm going to search for child type here. I'm going to find child type, and I'm going to save this. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is go create a flow really quickly, and I'm going to create a record of data. So user defined types, database structures, parent type create. And now if I look at this item to create, I'm going to do build data, and on child data, I can do build data again, right? And I'll say this is child data string. And I'm going to say this is parent data string. I think you're just going to need to understand a little bit how we build the relationships between the types that you create in a system. This is good information. So I have two data types. I should have a record now. So again, I'm going to use my query editor here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just find those folders. They're going to be LNL something. Here they are, child type and parent type. Now, if I look at the parent type the schema, you'll see I have ID and I have string, but I also have two properties. I have child type and child data. So if I generate a select query and run this, here's the record I created, parent data string. And what this does is it tells me this thing is related to this data type by this ID. So if I wanted to join those two things together, ultimately what I would be doing is select star from, let me insert table name here, and I'll say as parent. I'm going to inner join, and I'm going to go insert table name on child type as child. So hold on, select star from as parent, inner join as child on child.id equals parent dot underscore child data. And if I'm right, okay, and that means then I can do parent dot, so I'll do parent dot str1 comma child dot str1 comma, and if I run this, I should see child string, child string. I think this is an issue with the query editor. It's not actually doing that as parent string data. as child string data. There we go. It was this, the data view is wrong here. So there I can see the two values from my parent and my child structure, and I'm joining using the primary key on the child against that custom, that programmatically added field on the parent.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, things are much more clear now. Thank you very much. How soon can we get access to this recording?
We will post this on YouTube, and I'll make sure that we send you a link to that
Perfect.
recording after the call's over. Sabs, if you can please own that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
You bet, happy to help. Okay, now Leah has a question here. Fetch entity step doesn't return the group or user's phone number. How do you get that? So you're fetching an account?
Yeah, I'm fetching an account, and when I'm looking for the account, I can't get the phone number, I can't get the group. Yeah.
Yeah. Under, I think you're going to want to do integration, internal services, account service. There, maybe person, or is it address service? Let's see here. Get by ID. You don't like, so like with the fetch entity step, and let's do an account here, right? We don't give you any of these properties, do we? That's kind of unfortunate. So this is an account. So let's fetch all accounts. Okay, let's debug this. Great. All right, and so here's accounts, and we don't give you any sub properties. That's kind of ridiculous that we don't inside of our service layer give those to you for free. So I think all you have to do is use these internal service steps. So like, I think there's a is there person service? There's persons, there's phone service, there's person service, add address, get email by email address, get all email addresses, get addresses, takes an ID. I've never used these, so I'm not sure I'm not sure what the particular ID here is though. But you've had this filled in and like on the, like if I go edit the admin account, right? And I'm putting in information for like phone detail. Let's add an address here, which is, here's an old address, right?
If it's by ID, because the use case is to look at the group, get all the users in the group.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't have the users' IDs from the group because I'm looking at the group first.
Well, you need to get users for the group then. So
Yeah.
inside of group service, there should be get one of the, it's either group service, account service, get accounts for group. So
Okay, that's what I mean.
this returns you a list of accounts, but you might need to, like the account object doesn't have any of the phone or address information.
Okay.
So you're probably talking about building a flow structure, or you're like, you might be talking about building some kind of custom data type that's going to slam all these properties together for you.
Yeah.
If you need all that.
Yeah, I was hoping you would come in the fetch entity step. Now I understand I have to couple the services together to make that. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately you do. I mean, you shouldn't have to, admittedly, but it looks like you have to right now.
Okay.
Does
Thank you.
that give you enough?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, great, wonderful. All right, Radley is up next, sir. What do you have for us?
Hey, Will. So I brought this up with Eric last week, and we weren't going to get very far, but I was able to make some progress in the few days since. I have a scenario where I have a float execution extension, and it has a single account data member, and it has a list of strings. In that list of strings, I'm putting email addresses.
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to present a report to the entire organization. But when a user runs that report, I only want them to see records where their email address is either in the, they're either the owner of that item in the single account, or they're one of the team members in the list of strings.
Okay.
I'm able to do that through, I built a custom data source where I think it's called a custom data source.
Okay,
It's
like a flow reporting data source.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah,
Working
okay.
Data source.
Sure.
I get the data back that I'd expect. The report's available to everybody. I only see the records that I can see.
Okay.
But there's no right-click actions on those items.
Oh, You just need the content thing you're looking for is override action context.
Okay.
And if you have an ID here, overriding action context on reports, like in this, here's an example, like I just built that query just a moment ago, which is an account, right? So if I create a report from that select star from entity account query I just wrote. So here's
Yeah.
local connection, here's fetch account by email. And I'm gonna do like email address, and then I'm gonna put in account ID. Over here on the top right-hand corner, actions, override action context type is gonna be account, because this report doesn't know what it's reporting on, it just knows its data. I'm gonna select account, and I'm gonna say the account ID is this property on my query. If I run that, then I can right click and get edit account action. I can get the account actions on a custom query, or in your example, a flow reporting data source.
Awesome. Cool.
Yep. And so this is where you can make really cool data dense views with queries, and
Yeah.
and then but still hook them into the actions that make the portal experience useful for users.
That's great. Can you add me to that email when you guys upload this to YouTube? Can you notify me as well?
Sure, Sebs, if we could,
That-
Radley and Eamon, please. All right.
No problem.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
You bet. Happy to help. Okay, Jeremy's up next. How do I do a warn on a form assigned to a name session? Okay, so you want to send like an automated alert to someone. If
Yeah, so
you
like
want,
when it's
yeah.
just assigned to an account, you can set warn date, late date,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. On a named session, you don't have those options. But
Right.
on a form, I've had someone request that in this process that if the office hasn't done this task in 7 days, they need to be alerted of that.
Right.
And that form is assigned to a named session because those people don't have accounts in decisions.
My advice would just be to try to build a scheduled job that looks
Well, yeah,
at
I
that.
know that, but how do I get all the pertinent information for the flow that form is in? So I need to
Okay.
reset because I have a custom on-step run flow that sends them an email with a lot of information pertaining to that assignment.
Okay.
And I need to be able to resend them that information along with an extra piece saying, hey, this is late. And here's all the information to go back in and complete that assignment.
Well, that data lives in a process folder or a case data structure.
It's in a case.
Okay. Well, you know cases that are not complete, or could you fetch cases that are in this particular state?
Yes, that would be kind of the starting point, but I don't understand where do I get to then say like this assignment sitting out there, how do I then tie that back into the case to get the correct information for the correct one is what I'm missing then, is how do I tie all that together?
Well, let's see here. So let's assume we're building a scheduled job here. So we could fetch cases, right? I probably need to create one. I could set my type to folder, right? And then I could create a case here. Okay. Now is recipient, like, is who the person that you need to complete this a property on your case object?
No, it's set up on the assignment that I'm generating in a flow attached to one of the states. So it's in a trigger flow of the case.
Okay.
That I'm on that when it hits that process, this happens, assignments generated to a group of people, but I'm sending that as a named session because these people don't need accounts in decisions. They just need to take action on this piece.
Right, but like, so you're not, the email addresses of the people you've assigned that you're expecting to work this anonymous task are not saved anywhere in the database?
Correct.
Oh, that makes it tricky. Then there is, I don't know that there is a good way for us to get that. The simplest way would be to just make sure they get saved. And then you could just fetch your cases that are in this particular state and then rebuild up a link to that assigned form, and then resend that email out that says with like some boilerplate language on it about, it's been
Well, I'm not worried
XYZ.
about the email because the email is static.
Okay.
That it's going to. It's if I do a query and say, oh, I have an assignment that's
Mhm.
been sitting here for a week.
Yeah.
Now I need to put out another email with
Mhm.
all of the flow information or all the case information that's pertinent to that. How do I say, okay, I have this assignment ID? How do I then go backwards and get the case information?
You do it by parent folder ID. So if you fetch an assignment, now the assignment should be living in the case folder, like properly. So if I have an assignment, right, and the assignment's going to give me like, so here's me, let's just, you're looking at a case or looking at an assigned form. Here's an assignment. And then what I have is a folder. And so what you could do is, let me just connect this stuff. So this is assignment data, right? So if I use Data Explorer here and I look at assignment data and I just find first, let's assume I've got I'm in the loop or something, I'm dealing with the one I care about. This thing has entity folder ID. This is the parent folder ID of this is the folder ID of the case for all intents and purposes. That statement's not always true, but your assignment should be in your case folder.
Okay.
So if you get that, now you have the folder ID and you could pass that into a step to like do full, where you have case test 1 and you're going to fetch by folder ID. And then you're going to pass in that entity folder ID from your assignment. And now you've got all your case data available to you from the assigned form.
Okay. That makes sense.
Is that was that the missing piece?
Yeah, that's what I need to just be able to, since
Got it.
Making an assigned form, it takes away a lot of those properties if you do a named session. That's
right.
I really wish that could be brought back in.
You could, if you needed to, you could create it as someone was mentioning, or you could create an assignment extension if you wanted to add custom actions, or you have a couple free fields that you could use if you wanted to do some additional, like get some additional things. Like if you, let me go to a flow here and let me put a form, and then I'll make this assigned to name session, right? Oh, we get rid of everything. Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem, is all of that setup disappears if it's not directly assigned for something.
I see.
I've never understood why that's a thing. Why would those not work on a named session?
Some of these definitely should work. That has got to be a
because all those assignment dates, I believe those shouldn't matter if it's assigned to a direct person or a named session.
Yeah, definitely. You should be able. Where I was going is like this assignment type description you could fill out and have do whatever you wanted to.
Yeah, I've noticed whenever I try and do that, like I put it as assigned, do that, make it named session, that all then reverts back to null.
Yeah, that's,
or it just doesn't respect that because it's
that's
not looking at it.
Kind of honestly, that's really stupid that we hide all of that. But I guess what we just said is like you could get to from the assignment into the case using that parent entity folder ID to folder ID relationship.
Yeah, that should get me what I need to figure out. Okay. Thank you.
You bet, sir. Happy to help. All right. So here we go. This is a pen tester comment regarding a session token. Sensitive information within URLs may be logged in various locations, including the user's browser, the web server, and any forward or reverse proxy servers between two endpoints. URLs may also be displayed on screen, bookmarked, or emailed around by users. They may be disclosed. We don't put the session ID in the URL. It should be in the body of any calls that we're making. Yeah. So I don't know. I definitely need the support team's help to help push forward on that one. I'm definitely not smart enough to answer security questions on the fly. Maybe one day I'll be that cool, or be one of those guys that refers to himself as a white hat hacker. So, all right, I think that's everything for today. Let me know if anyone else has any questions. We're past our 12:30 mark, and it's been another great day full of questions. I feel like we're hitting a an inflection point here. Maybe lunch and learns are about to take off. Knock on wood. It's only taken, Sabs, how long has it taken? 3 years? 2 years? Have we been at this for 2 years now?
I think so. Yeah.
Have we really been doing this daily for almost 2 years?
Yeah. 2021.
Man, I really appreciate everyone for joining and asking great questions. Okay, I'm assuming that is it for everybody. And tomorrow we have Jared. Yep, tomorrow we'll have our training team manager, Jared Rodriguez, on the call. And then it'll be Ashley Wilson on Thursday. Appreciate all the questions and talk to you all next week.